Okay, fine, Christmas isn't that bad.
If music be the food of love, play on. Give me excess of it, that surfeiting the appetite may sicken and so die. Billy Shakespeare's Twelfth Night is the closest we'll get to an Elizabethan Christmas story. I mean, there's no Christmas plot at all, but it's set around the most wonderful time of the year. It's a typical Shakespearean love story, which really set the precedence for the modern romantic comedy. Ugh. It follows a lady named Viola who gets shipwrecked and dresses up as a man and falls in love with a wealthy Italian duke named Orsino, but Orsino's in love with a countess named Olivia who falls in love with Viola thinking she's a man. See? It's simple. Don't forget, back then they were all played by men, too. I wonder what that gender bending did for the persecution of homosexuals back in the day. Like, was it the progenitor of the Pride Parade? Okay, that's an oversimplified view of the story. Many of the characters have Italian names, Viola, Olivia, Orsino, playing on the still modern stereotype of Italians being wild, crazy lover types who will literally go to the ends of the earth to party. Shakespeare, of course, used this quite a bit with his comedy Much Ado About Nothing, set in Messina, Sicily, All's Well That Ends Well, which is partially in Florence, Two Gentlemen of Verona, and of course down the street from them, The Tragic History of Romeo and Juliet.
I mean, what's in a gnome? Because you're blue, my father sees red, and because I'm red, I'm feeling blue. Oh, at any rate, that shouldn't be the thing to keep us apart, should it?
But then, it doesn't take place in Italy either, but rather Illyria, which is essentially the Balkans today. I initially thought it was one of the infinite uncharted islands that Shakespeare liked, but it was indeed a real place, populated with real people. Not that I believe in real people, you understand. It was originally part of the Greek conquest, and naturally fell to the Romans when they were kicking ass and taking names. Rome! Fuck yeah! The play also builds on the joke of Two Gentlemen of Verona, where a woman dresses up as a man, which would be used in several of his other plays. Seriously, though, what the hell? Many times, women were played by young, pubescent boys who could be played off as women right in the middle of their psychosexual development. And given the rather libertine nature of actors and poets, not to mention acting companies spent lots of time together on the road with few women around, it does conjure up the question of what was really going on behind the scenes. I can't help but feel someone in the King's Men had a crush on someone and desperately wanted them to be an actual female. Maybe Shakespeare's plays aren't about the interactions of men and women at all, but are coded to be about the sensitive, tender love between men. Which is measurable proof that every rom-com ever since is gay. Tell that to your girlfriend next date night. And it feels like a cheap romantic comedy. A gang of young lovers are shipwrecked in a foreign country, and people dress up in clever role reversals. There's even a funny subplot involving making some curmudgeonly old bastard think he's in love with the wrong woman. Also, there's apparently a famous line, "Dost thou think because thou art virtuous there shall be no more cakes and ale?" I've never heard this settle around. I don't know. Finally, the play ends with a dead character revealed to be alive, which reveals everyone's true identity, which leads to a marriage and happy ever after. It's so cute, it's stupid. There are some good breaking the fourth wall moments, like this bit in the midst of the comic chaos. If this were played upon the stage now, I'd dismiss it as an improbable fiction.
What the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie?
Now. You're looking at now, sir. Everything that happens now is happening now.
My, how things change. It's more the comedy of errors type of story that was popular back then, and is still popular today, than any sort of hijinks-infused Christmas movie, or book, or whatever. I've never found anything of this time period that even resembled a modern Christmas story, either a retelling of Jesus' birth or something involving Santa Claus. Don't forget, St. Nick and Father Christmas were both around back then, but they didn't have nearly the cult status they do today. In fact, Father Christmas was born out of necessity, as they outlawed Christmas after the Protestant takeover of England. There just simply weren't a lot of stories about magic and fairy tales, or at least none that really stayed with people, which is strange given medieval Europe's fascination with the occult. But the story isn't about Christmas, is it? It's about Twelfth Night, the festival before the Feast of the Epiphany, which is another holiday altogether. There's actually a whole song written about it. On the 12th, the idea was that the Lord of Misrule cast a spell over people, and everything became reversed. Masters dressed as servants, servants as masters, and even kings and queens dressed as commoners, while the commoners put on crowns and robes. Men even dressed as women, and women were even allowed out of the house and not expected to be subservient slaves as they were the rest of the year. Or at least that's what the feminists would have us believe. And of course there was food to be eaten, ale to drink, and merriment to be had. The Elizabethans knew how to party. As you can see, this was part of Shakespeare's play, with gender-bending roles and women falling in love with women, and men dressed as women, dressed as men on a day when they're supposed to be opposite, which might mean that a woman can come on stage and play a man dressed as... Oh God, I've gone cross-eyed. Goddamned over complex jokes. The idea of Twelfth Night went back to ancient Roman times, celebrated as Saturnalia, or the Feast of Saturn. Really, placing Christmas at this time period was part of the Roman combining Christianity and pagan traditions, which really shows the godlike power of the Roman Empire. Don't forget, the tradition of Christmas trees and Yule logs also comes from Nordic traditions, with the Vikings worshipping decorated trees, and not to mention that Santa Claus bears more than a passing resemblance to the Viking god Odin. And of course, Norse mythology's most famous character isn't too far off from Jesus.
This drink, I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
Oh yeah, I quoted Marvel. Where's my check, Disney? From Roman traditions to Germanic paganism to Christian Europe, this all goes to show how Christmas is a synthesized holiday, blending in the elements from all of these different cultures, evolving today into the American consumerist culture that seeks to drain the money out of it. Not unlike Shakespeare. While it only casually celebrates the holiday, Billy wrote the play to generate cash flow during the season, staying away from his usual tragedies and trying to lighten the mood for the holiday, showing that it was indeed a time of merrymaking and relaxation, and that there was money to be made. Shakespeare did it, Dickens did it, we all do it. There's nothing wrong with giving money to the Zionist masters now and again, so go spend time with your family, turn off your damn computer, read a book, and maybe catch a play or two. Merry goddamned Christmas, and Happy fucking New Year.